Okay. All right. Now it's working. Okay. All right. Whew. First, the internet was down, and then we had some other issues, tech issues with the internet. Now the internet is back up, so maybe there's an overload in the system. Now I'm back on, and I'm gonna try to come on to hear myself, double checking. Yeah, I got. I had to use a little bit of your son's science. What a rival! What a journey! Well, anyway, now I'm up here, as they say, hustling. Really hustling, and hold on. So I'm going to talk about my course, how it's unfolding for February the 1st, 2023. Some people are getting interested. Also, as people get interested, I'll be sending out basically an outline of the course. I wasn't going to do it at first, but I like to let people know how things are. So people will be getting something like this. They'll be getting an outline. They'll be getting in that outline. They'll give them what the cost of the class is, and things of that nature. So people can join in two different ways. People can do a registration. This and all of this is like almost pre-registration. So starting January, on January the 2nd, everybody can tune in, and I have to take my glasses off again. Ah, boy. Everybody can tune in when they want to take this course. There's an early bird registration window that goes from January the 2nd to January the 18th, 2023. It'll end at midnight on January the 18th, 2023. Now, if they get the early bird, they can get it for $103 discount, which is approximately $297. That's what you'll pay. If you miss that window, the next window goes 4 weeks. And that's January the 19th to February the 19th at a higher price. So all you got to do is add $103 back to the 297, and you'll see what the big price is. Now the cool thing about this is I'm teaching it slightly different. This is an online live course, video streamed across my Zoom link, private Zoom link. And what's going to happen is I'm seeking anywhere from 10 to 15 people to teach at during this course. It's like a college semester, so it's going to go. Hey, yeah, this course is going to go from February into March into April, and it ends in May on a Wednesday night, which is May 31st. It's going to kick off on Wednesday, February the 1st, 2023. Okay, so it's going to allow people to have an opportunity to take this course. Now, what is so good about it is if people can't, get on board with the course at the early bird fee and have to pay the big one, you can pay it off in installments. But you have to be able to pay it anytime from January the 19th up until midnight, uh, January the 19th up until midnight, February the 19th. So people who take that bigger amount, which is around 4 bills, then it's going to be where you can pay it in payments, and you can still take the course. So that's the good thing about it. And this is going to allow people to have a pretty good time to enjoy this class with me. And hopefully, what I would like to see is that I get some students. I think I'm going to have a lot, and that's one of the goodies about this. I think it's going to be really a lot of people are going to be running in line to get this course. They're going to want to jump on it really fast, and I think that's going to be pretty cool. I just want to see how it's coming across on an iPad. Yeah, looks like it's going to be pretty cool on an iPad. Yeah. So this is everybody's opportunity, of course, to kick in and enjoy this course. You're going to be able to ask questions, lots of questions. I'm a person that likes to get your questions so I can answer them. That's me. I don't shy away from any questions. I like to have interaction in my classes. Those of you who have taken some type of training with me know that I'm a pretty cool guy when it comes to that. Um, this course, when I teach it live, I'm going to record it live because I need the recordings, video recordings for my art. But at the end, when each lesson class is over, and I'm going to send that out to all. Okay, so you're going to have to take some copious notes. All right, as they say. And then you'll get at the end of each class that's taught, including free classes. Now, there will be, I have it set up as, I think it's something like 11 to 12 paid classes and somewhere between, okay, it's 11 paid classes and 7 free classes. The 7 free classes are the reviews that take place throughout the course. This course is going to run about 18 weeks consecutively from February the 1st all the way to May 31st on a Wednesday night at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And this is going to give people plenty of time to learn this from me. Also, I'm working on some PDFs and ebooks to send out to you free when the course is over. So I have all this additional information about numerology and how you could take it and absorb it and use it, how you can understand it um, symbolically, how you can understand it metaphysically, how you can understand it spiritually. And since I've been a teacher of numerology, I've been involved with numerology for 48 years. I have a lot to say. So I'm looking forward to share the information with each and every one of you so that you can get it. Tonight, you're going to get a chance to get some free mini numerology readings. So you can give me, say, your month and day, and I'll tell you what your personal year number is. You could also make sure I have some additional paper out here. You can also uh, want to know what your destiny number is. Now, I read numerology slightly different from others. I don't stick with just the single digits. I use all of the compound digits. That's me. I like to employ all of the compound digits so that you get a lot of information. We're also going to go and talk about the symbols of dreams and maybe why do we dream. We're going to talk about that tonight. Why do we really dream? What's the big deal about dreams? We're going to talk about some other things tonight as well. The power of affirmations. Affirmations are very important. I remember on some of the things when I used to listen to Reverend Ike. I never had a chance to see him in person, but did see him in some live streaming work on other people's channels. And he always used to say, affirmations do work. Now, when people say that they don't work because the person is not using the affirmation. In other words, they don't have faith that the affirmation is going to work, or they've never had the experience of seeing the affirmation work on their behalf. And the power, it's really the power of our own words, the intensity, the vibration that we put into the words that we say. It's not just a belief, it is a knowing. And so when you are saying an affirmation, you're saying something that you know to be true. And Reverend Ike used to always say, on some level, even if you can't see it, you don't see what you're seeking to come in, you still have to act as if it already is. He also used to say, and this he learned this part from Neville Goddard. Neville Goddard used to say, see the end. Only look at the end part, not all the stuff in between, not where you're at now. See the end part. Yes, your intent. So your intent is really your will and your desire to see it through. You're not just stating it and waiting for it to come. You're doing things along the way that helps create the environment for you to see it. If you're not doing anything to create the environment for you to see it, then of course you won't see anything. You won't have the experience. And so it is always a willingness to put something in action. People that work in multi level marketing, networking businesses, they say all these words. Got to have you want a massive result, you got to take massive action. Now, sometimes striving to get a massive result and take massive action, you may not know what that is if you're a first timer. You may think it's all cold calling, or as they say, get your folks together, get your family members and wear them out, get your friends and wear them out. Then that builds up something with yourself, and then you can go actually talk to people. However, it is subtle actions that are taking place, very subtle actions that are moving us step by step toward the end result. Another thing Reverend Ike used to say, inch by inch, it's a cinch. Meaning you will capture the goal step by step. It could be studying something along the lines of what you're striving to do, or it could be talking to other people who are doing something similar or who have already done it, which is we say talk to the veterans of what you're striving to accomplish. It could also be maybe talking to someone else that's in a completely different field than you are and watch what they do and how they do it. Could be a musician, could be an artist, a dancer, a classical musician, the jazz musician. What are people doing to make what they're doing happen for themselves? And so when we reach out on a level like that, we could rest assured that there's different levels or layers of success that are going to take place. Layers and levels of success that are going to take place. Also, it's the ability not to stop. Sometimes we all do things, right? And of course, we get a little tired. We may not get enough sleep. We may not have enough nutrition in the system. So then we kind of give up and we stop. We don't get out. Well, we learn from that too. Every time you don't do it, you learn that there's some reasons why you didn't do it. And then you're striking that, you're trying to understand that to get to the core of who you are. Once you get to the core of who you are, then you have some opportunities to make the thing work, whatever that thing is. But everything you eventually learn, metaphysically speaking and spiritually speaking, everything is energy based, everything is energy oriented. So it takes a certain amount of energy to read, to look at something around you. It takes a lot of energy to do that. But what also happens is levels of consistency. That's important. Levels of consistency. Now, people who are like myself, I'm a single guy, so I stay active in my field. I'm either studying it, I'm reading about it, I'm watching other people's, how they present things, and I learn from that. And I'm not even a guy that's involved in Toastmasters, but I'm also watching how people teach. How do people teach? Some people, as some people say, will put you to sleep because they have a humdrum kind of monotone voice. But you'll get more out of a class sometimes if the person is very upbeat, right? Have high energy, talks with their hands. I'm a person, I talk with my hands. I talk, my whole body's talking. So I'm doing something. I'm just not standing there, moving around with my hands down. My hands are part of the communication. My hands carry the energy like my feet carry the energy all over. So there are ways and means of doing things. Sometimes we put belief and faith in the same bucket, but I see belief sometimes when you're believing in something, you're not quite sure of what you're believing in. But if you have faith in something, then it works, right? Faith is gives you that power that you need. Why? Because you've done it before numerous times, over and over and over. That's why a lot of like Les Brown used to say, don't, you get out there, you're going to sell something, don't take it personal. You're going to find out why the person won't buy it, even though they already got something that you're selling. But you're going to convince that person that thing that you have is a little better than the thing they already have. Eventually, it's going to work. Or I remember Les Brown used to say, um, when he lived in Miami, I think it was, and he worked at a radio station, and he was a young guy, young kid. He was a teenager, and his teacher told him, "You keep going to that radio station until you get in there, till you get a job." So he would go. He said the guy's name was Butterworth or something like that, and he said, "Mr. Butterworth, I'm here. Do you have any jobs?" The guy would tell him, "No, there's no jobs here at the radio station." He would go back and tell his teacher, his mentor. His mentor would say, "Go back again." So he started going back each time until eventually the guy got tired of seeing him. Like, I keep telling you, I have nothing here. I keep telling you, there's nothing here for you. And he would say, "Well, I'm just maybe somebody got laid off. Maybe somebody, something else happened. I want to work here." So eventually the guy made him like a courier. In other words, he would make coffee for all the DJs, all the executives. That was his job. He would also be working with the mailroom. He would be sweeping the hallways, mopping the hallways. He became very trustworthy. Why? Because he was showing up ahead of time for work. Eventually, they have all these, R&B stars that would come in to be interviewed. He started giving him the keys to a car and telling him to go drive to the airport. He had no idea that Les Brown wasn't old enough to drive, but he looked like it. He trusted him, and he started driving to the airport, picking up all these R&B stars that would be guests to be interviewed on a radio station. And then eventually, he was hanging out in the engineering room, and he was watching the DJs work the keyboard. And he said there was one particular guy, they called him Rocky, and Rocky drank. Sometimes Rocky would go on the air almost, as they say, sloppy drunk. Eventually, Mr. Butterworth called in on the phone, and Les Brown picks up the phone. And he said, Les, I don't think Rocky's going to be able to complete his show. By the way he sounds, he's totally drunk. So I need you to call up some of the other DJs to see if they are available to come in and take his spot. Now, usually when you're in a radio station like that, a person might be on for 2 hours or they could be on for 4 hours. So this might have been one of those situations Well, this guy is supposed to do his show for 4 hours, but that wasn't happening. So what Les Brown said, what he did, he hung up the phone with the owner of the radio station. He called his mother and his sister to put the radio out on the porch because he's getting ready to come on radio. He waited a little bit, about maybe 10, 15 minutes. Then what he did was he called his boss up and said, "Sir, I can't find anybody." And what happened was he basically put himself in position to be a DJ. And what had happened was the boss said, "Well, young man, you're around there in the studio. Do you know how to work the board?" He said, "Yes, sir." He said, "Do you know how to like take the calls, answer the calls? You know how to put on the music?" "Yes, sir." He said, "Well, go in there and do it." And Les Brown said he went in there, he talked his spiel that he had for himself, and he landed a job just like that because another guy was not able to complete his job properly. Now, that doesn't mean it's going to happen like that for everybody. But what it says is to be prepared. You have a gift, you have a talent, you developed into a skill. You have to be prepared. You have to know how that essence that you have with yourself works within you. You have to know that you have to be a skilled person, man or woman, that's going to be able to step in to a particular seat and perform well. But you can only do that by having self confidence, having some ethics, having some humility, having compassion, have understanding about the work that you do and the environment, the stage that you're on. You have to be super confident in yourself. And you have to love yourself and love the way that you do what you do. This is important in terms of you moving ahead. In order to be available, like who else says this? Dr. Michael Bernard Beckwith says in so many words, you have to be available. You have to make yourself available to work through you, for the universe to you to serve the world. You have to make it available. What he was saying is you have to open your heart as well as use all the faculties with your mind to make something work. Or as Ari says, your intent behind the intention is also important. So anything that you're doing, in order for it to work, you have to have a lot of things in place. Now, what if you're someone who doesn't have a lot of things in place? Suppose you're somebody and you just don't know how something is going to work on your behalf. You still have to show up. I'll say that again. You still have to show up. You have to show up regardless of what's going on in the world around you. So if you're an artist, you have to have a little bit of art vibe going with yourself and to be present. If you're a musician, you got to know your instrument, know your notes, know your scales, show up in the band. If you're a vocalist, you got to be familiar sometimes with the band behind you, or if you're out there doing it a cappella, you got to be ready. And you got to be comfortable with yourself because you're performing in front of an audience. It could be an audience of two, audience of 200 or an audience of 2,000 or 20,000. You have to be ready. Look at those people that get out there and they're now able to sing and rap and dance and whatever and act to like hordes of people in a stadium. That takes a lot to be able to do that, to be comfortable with that many people tuned in on you. It is the same like a teacher, an elementary grade school teacher or high school teacher. You got 30 students locked on to you. College professor, you might have 30 to 100 in a lectern, lecture hall locked into you. You have to be comfortable with what you're saying, with your delivery. Well, it's interesting how the study of be it astrology, palmistry, tarot, dream analysis, meditation, numerology, tea leaf reading, coffee ground reading, crystals, all these things on some level, when you're busy studying them, putting them, making them a part of what you do every day, how each one of those items on some level can prepare you to assist another person. But in order to do that, you have to know your craft. You have to know your tools. Most of all, you have to know how to connect with people. You have to be able to make people comfortable around you. While I'm talking about this, if you have not subscribed to my Pacific channel, Circle of Grace 1, with myself, Brother Francis, you should subscribe now. Click on like if you like the information. If you think this information is helpful, click like. Also, you can share it out. And the way you can kind of share it out is you go up in your browser bar and just highlight the link and then take that link and put it on your Facebook page or text it out or something. Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm getting it over here. It's kind of choppy. I'm sorry for that. There must be a lot of people on tonight. But right now, I notice people are coming in and out off and on. Hopefully, it will get better. 'Cause I'm trying to also check it. Let's see if I can check it through my phone. There's so many people are texting me too. But let's stay in there, see what we can do. So yeah, one of you is coming back on. So what I was saying is that, and then you hear it in the replay. What I was saying that is that we have to be always be prepared. Allow ourselves to be prepared because there's so much going on around us. So while I'm on here, how's the weather in your neighborhood? How's everything where you are? No matter where you are you on the East Coast, or are you in the East Coast time frame? Or are you in the Central? Are you in Mountain Time? Are you and that question can be in terms of how people are thinking and doing. How is that? Yeah, Amber. Okay. You so it's getting choppy on your end, Barrett? It's choppy on your end. It was interesting. Before you came on, my volume wasn't working. My sound wasn't working. Now the sound is working. Some people are getting it. What you might have to do, Arit, is sign back, like sign out, like go off and then come back in. Because on my end, it's not showing any jumpiness, but I'm going to check through my phone to see if I could see it do that. Let's see. It says I'm on live. Okay. So through my phone is working. Yeah, yeah, through my phone is working. Okay, yeah. It could be the Wi-Fi moving stuff around too. Because prior to me coming on tonight, I had to literally get up and move my computer desk around a little bit, move my iPad around a little bit. It was wacky. So one of the questions I just asked was, "How's the weather where you're at?" Okay, so everything's working. I got an iPad. It seems to be picking up quite strong. Let me just bring the volume down. Okay, so everything seems to be okay thus far. There we go. Everything seems to be okay. So I'm on my phone, I'm on my iPad, and they're all working okay right now. Okay, crystal clear. Good. So one of the things before I jump into the numerology, because I'm always good to do that. One of the things I want to do is talk about dream symbols. And there's so many ways to be able to interpret dream symbols, because our dreams cover all the different areas of our life. Our dreams cover us on the personal level. It covers you on relationship level. It covers you where family is concerned. It covers you on your levels of creativity or your emotional energy. It covers you through your mental energy, your physical body. It connects on so many different levels, with your business, your career, your spiritual walk that you have for yourself. So many things are happening when you're having a dream, many things. And what's so important is that no matter where you find yourself at what you're doing, dreams are significant. Again, many of the Aboriginals would say, and going up to now, people will say that when you fall asleep and you have a dream, the dream world is your real world, because in that world you're free. You can make changes. Now, the only way you can make changes is to become very lucid in the dream world. That means to know that your physical body is sound asleep, but your etheric body, all those other bodies, are encapsulated with the physical, but there's a part of you that is still connected to the body, and you're able to roam, so to speak, in the ethers. And you're able to take the scenario of the dream and able to flip it in your favor. Then you awaken with what you have done in the dream world and begin to carry it out in the physical world. But you have to get to a level where you could become lucid in the dream world, which means clear consciousness, to be totally aware of what's going on. So it's like asleep in the physical world, but active in the dream world. You have to know that you can do that. Often, sometimes we stumble upon doing it and we don't realize that we're doing it. Then there are other times when we begin to realize, oh, I am doing this. I am actually seeing things differently. People often ask me, well, how do you know? How do you know you are lucid in the dream? Well, one of the things is it's just like when you're in your waking state, you don't see your face. You can look down like right now, right? You can look down and see the rest of your body, right down to your feet. You can see your arms and shoulders. Maybe you can see what's behind you. In the dream world, it's the same. I call that being in your dream body. Now you're able to move around. You can see things. You can experience. Because when you're in the dream body, you also are having an experience through your physical senses. You can smell in the dream world. You can taste. You definitely see it in the dream world. You're hearing, you're smelling, and you're touching things, and they're all feeling real. You're feeling the energy, or I would say the ridges of the energy. You are consciously aware that you are in the dream world. And not only are you consciously aware that you are in the dream world, but you remember everything that's going on and everything that did happen in this physical. You bring back information with you because you were able to explore the dream, the scenario, what was going on. Some when we're having lucid dreams, not everything in the dream looks like it's real. I remember one time when I first began having that experience of a lucid dream. I was back in my 30s. And in the dream, I was in New York City in a parade, watching a parade, not in it, but watching the parade. And all of us that were standing, I think we were along Fifth Avenue, we could hear this sound like something cutting in the street. Now, you see trucks pull afloat, huge balloons, people dancing, people performing on floats. But what I was seeing in the dream was a boat, something like a little bigger than a tugboat. I would say far bigger. It was like a cruise ship coming up Fifth Avenue. But what it was doing was it was literally cutting in the street. That means the pavement was coming up as this cruise liner was coming through, and people on the cruise liner were waving to everybody else, including myself. That's when I realized, okay, let's stop here. You don't see that in the waking state. You don't see a boat cutting into the street fluidly, just like it does in water. In a body of water, you don't see that. So that is not real. However, it was a symbolism for something else. I needed to cut through emotions. I needed to cut through a situation. I needed to chop it up, make it smooth. Whatever the hurdle that I was experiencing, or the hurdles, or the walls, whatever it was, I had to use my mind, use my willpower, use myself, and literally cut through whatever was my opposition. But I didn't get that right away. Why? Because I had to like seriously look around. What was going on in my life at that time? Was I upset with myself? Was I upset with relatives, family, friends, neighbors, coworkers, strangers? What was the kind of job I had? What was affecting me? I had to go through all of that to see, because obviously the people on the cruise liner, they were all waving at me, and I started to realize, well, maybe those people represent my thoughts, and that part of the extension of myself was honoring me by waving to me. It definitely got my attention. Sometimes we could have the strangest dreams, right? Sometimes you can have a dream and you can see things out of context, like certain things happening that are not of your region or area. That can let you know too that the dream is off, or something in your life is slightly off. Other times you can dream about the people in your dream that are actually in your life, I should say. You start to experience them in your life. So you start to think, well, what does that mean? The same people in my waking state are in my dream. Now, you may not have any issues with them, right? You may not have any problems with them, but something has occurred. Something has happened, and you are allowed to see. It's amazing how things develop around us, how life develops around us. And we know, just like my friend here, Arit Mayat, said earlier about, the intent behind the intention. So often, the way we live our lives, we have a way and means to intend it to be. Kind of look at the word tent, right? Like if you went camping, hiking the camp, and you set up a tent, the tent is supposed to what? Act like a shelter for the most part from rain and other things, right? So those things that you're planning to do, planning to put into motion, you're doing them because it's supposed to create a shelter for you so you can receive other things, other experiences. It's just something to think about. Sometimes in our dreams, we have buildings. Some people have schools, they see schools all the time. I know when I have something that's going to be a very strange shift in my life, is when I see myself in a dream where the neighborhood is outrageously rough. I mean, I see people getting killed in the dream in the neighborhood, people shooting at each other. I even find myself running from people. And I'm running and I'm running and I'm running, then I run out of space. And then I realize, okay, I can't go any further. So what do I do? And of course, you have to turn around and confront that which is creating a disturbance in your life. But there's so many ways in which you can do that and have accomplished certain things in your life while you're doing that. Sometimes we all know, we have to look at what our responsibilities, our obligations are. Other times, we may not realize that we take on burdens. That's something that happens for a healer. You're striving to help other people, but the people that you're helping, they may have so much that's going on with themselves that they literally dump it at your doorstep. So you have to make sure they take their stuff with them. You're helping them. You're working energetically with their body, with their brain, everything. Yet they have to learn how to take those things that they're carrying within their mind, their worries, with them. They came with them and they got to take them out. And they still have to not just discard them, but work on some those things so that they lighten their load while you are helping them lighten the load with you. There's a lot that goes on as a healer, spiritual, whether you're spiritual, metaphysical, esoterical, occult teacher, whatever. There's a lot that goes on. And often you may not understand the impact that you have on others. Others may not understand the impact that you have on them or the impact that goes back and forth like a volleyball, ping pong ball. Energy is energy nonetheless. And we have to find ourselves working with that energy. It's essential to our well being to be able to assist other people and have time for yourself. There are times when I have to be totally quiet. And it's interesting. Ever since I came back from my little vacation, visiting my family members, I've grown like quiet. Usually, when I'm by myself in my residence, I'm quiet. But I noticed I came back more so, more quiet. It's not where I don't want to connect with people. I just, that personal space, arm's length space, 9 foot diameter, 10 foot diameter space, quiet. And it doesn't mean I don't want to be around people. What it means is if I get quiet enough with myself, I can hear distinctly what my spirit guides want to tell me. Sometimes, and this is I'll say this, I'm a Pisces. Sometimes we like the isolation. To others, it can be disruptive because they may not understand why you want to be by you much. I can do it because I'm a single person. I can be by myself. I don't have to be with other people. Do I feel lonely? Sometimes I ask myself, do you feel lonely? And when I go deeply inside myself, the one word that resonates that says, no, I don't feel lonely. I'm in search of something within myself, though. Now, since I got, tomorrow, what it is, Thanksgiving, then Friday, I'm off, tech sense, but I'm working. Saturday, I'm working in the latter part of the later afternoon, early evening, I'm working, but I'll still be broadcasting. But I'm going to be doing many things. I'll be studying, catching up on paperwork, reading books. I got so many books here. I think I got about 10, 15 books I haven't even read yet, let alone the ones I got before last year. So I got a lot of books I have to study. Got to do something. But I'll do it joyfully. Whatever we're doing right now, since we have this Sagittarius new moon kicking in, right? Sagittarius, so we have to get involved with the higher self. So yeah, I was squinting a little bit. It was saying something was on and off with the internet. But we strive, consciously strive. So henceforth, you got dreams. Dreams are popping up, messages are in your dreams. Now, I kind of talk in detailed a little bit and in general a little bit. Does anybody on here right now have any questions or want to share something simply with dreams? Please do so now. Is there something you want to share, or do you have a question about a dream? And while you all are thinking, thank you for subscribing to my channel, liking what you like, and if you dislike, say so. Drop it. Sometimes you can email me and say, "Hey, I got an idea, a suggestion that you could utilize when you're podcasting. Have you ever thought about talking about this thing or that thing, other than what you talk about?" It's a very unique time frame, but I say that a lot. I find myself saying that a lot. We're living in a time. It's a great time to be alive. We're seeing changes, some changes happening in the world. But what we're actually seeing and experiencing is changes with ourselves. We're getting to that point where we begin to peel away the layers of this wayward, illusory, miscreated, as Akhenaten would say, miscreated ego. We're learning not to kill off the ego, but to refashion the ego, smooth it out. Beloved Akhenaten and Nefertiti say, your ego is supposed to be your ego is supposed to be pretty much like a magnifying glass. You're supposed to use it to enhance something in your life so you can see it better, you can understand it better. So we might want to look at things in our lives. One could be how we communicate with others, but that's important. But what's important is how we communicate on a bigger level with that divine aspect thing of ourselves, and how we work through it, how we don't let the ego or that part of ourselves have the big head about it. Hey, look, I can connect with the universe. Hey, I can connect with the spaceships. I can call them in. I can do this. I can do that. Hey, those beings are around us all the time. They're just not doing like they used to do in the 40s and the 50s and the 60s. They're not revealing themselves like they used to. They're observing. They're not revealing themselves to us. They're just sitting back and observing. They're like visitors going like, oh, do I really want to show up down here? Or do I want to come out of the mountains and show myself? Do I want to come out of the lab and show myself? Should I do that? Maybe not. Beings are intelligent. They know more so than what we know. They could be these beings from the future, as we say. We are one of those beings from the future. Someone had said to me the other day that we are our ancestors. We are the prayers of our ancestors. Whatever our ancestors went through over 5,000 generations, 2,000 generations ago, 200 generations ago, they laid out a prayer that whatever they were experiencing, that you would have a better life. And here you are creating a better life for yourself. We all striving to do something. I know that. We are striving to do better. I applaud all of you that are parents. Your job is more difficult than the President of the United States. All of you that are moms and dads, your job as a role as a parent is more difficult than the president because you got to make decisions on the spot. You got to make decisions 24 hours a day, literally, to see your household run a certain way, that everybody works together, and then that your children are in the world doing well for themselves. But here's the key factor, or one of the key factors. When your elders are on the other side, people ask, can I still communicate with them? Yeah, you can communicate with them, but understand they are still learning just like you and I are learning. They are in the light, as we say, the folds of the light, overlapping the world that we are in still. They are in school. They are in what they call soul universities. They are learning other aspects. And they are also balancing out energy wheel for themselves in other levels of this constellation. Letting us know that if we don't hear from them, it doesn't mean that they don't want to be in touch with us. They're busy beyond the veil, lightening their load more and more and more, getting back to their true divine self. And the closer they get back to that true self of them in the spirit world, then they could better help us in this world. There are various practices people do. People create altars. What they create is an ancestral altar. And in that ancestral altar, they use money, either real money, coins, real billfold money, checks, or they get what they call joss paper. You can get joss paper at most Asian shops where they're selling statues and candles, and then you see this thing that has looks like the money with an emperor on it, and they actually buy as many of them as they can, and they light them like an incense on the altar. Some people say that that's their way of helping their ancestors who are journeying, moving about in the light, increasing their value, so to speak. Now, That can be true. And then people will place plates, more small plates, and they'll cook up a meal that their parent loved and they leave it on the altar. Or they will put down their favorite drink, their favorite perfume or cologne. They will spray around the altar. Or they leave it there. Favorite cigar, cigarette, or pipe, tobacco that they smoked. Leave it there. If they have this rapport with their ancestors, certain things will start to disappear. These are different ritualistic practices and ceremonial practices. It's like you go into a Chinese restaurant and when they got in there, they got a prosperity cat in there. Cat is waving at you. Cat's got a bow tie. Cat's got coins in the tray. Or they have the fat Buddha. The fat Buddha is the one that represents abundance and prosperity. The big bellied Buddha. He might have a tray in one hand and a tray in another hand. He's got coins all over the place. He represents the good luck Buddha. He's inviting things in, abundance and prosperity. We have things too, according to our cultures, different cultural practices of inviting prosperity and abundance into our life and better health into our life. It depends on your journey. Kind of teaching intuitively what comes to mind. I know I was in dreams. Prior to that, I was talking about numbers, numerology, about the course. So I went from dreams to lucid dreaming to, talking about this a little bit. But these things are essential to our well being. The more we do, the better we can do. The more we strive, the better we will thrive. Hey, that's rhymes. The more we shall thrive. It means we're not going to suffer. We're not supposed to suffer. Our ancestors didn't do these prayers for nothing. Our ancestors didn't sit down and pray morning, noon, and night for us to suffer. This is why I've noticed sometimes when an elder that's connected to yourself, your mother, your father, your aunt, uncle, grandparent, you go through things, items that they have. Some people want the material things. Some people want the books. What kind of books were they reading? Then you discover, oh my gosh, they wore a medallion. They had an amulet. They had a talisman. They had some crystals that they work with. Gee, I didn't know they were into this. Well, they didn't know if you would be interested, but now it's been left behind. Now you begin to see some of the tools that they use, the personal tools that they use to kind of keep themselves going on the path. Sometimes they collected them so that you could have them. Sometimes they collected them so that you could have them. So you can see they just weren't walking aimlessly about. Well, now, those of you that are blessed with families, introduce your family to the things that you have metaphysically and spiritually around you. You see, you don't want to wait until it's time for you to cross over. You want to start observing them now. This is what I tell I told my nieces back in Arizona. I said, start letting me know which one of the children looks like they're leaning toward metaphysics, spirituality, and things of this nature. Let me know which one looks like They want to learn meditation. But you know what I'm planning to do? I can't do it right now, but I'm going to put it together. I'm going to put together meditation videos for my little nieces and nephews so that they can learn what meditation is about. Because like in other cultures, you see children meditating with their family members. Well, I want my nieces, nephews, they know, but I want my grandnieces and grandnephews and great grands to know the importance of meditation. Meditation can chill them out a little bit, but it can open up their mind. It can keep their mind wide open to things. It's important that that third eye in there doesn't calcify. And the way that we could keep it going is to push the energy, push our spiritual energy through it, to remind ourselves that we are spiritual and metaphysical beings. We're infinite. We just happen to be walking through. We are the host of our own physical bodies. So if you have younger people in your home, children in your home, young adults in your home, but you want to get to them when they're younger, let them see what you're doing. Then they can begin to take it on. As the interest builds up, they will desire it and they will want to know more. Try to have some magazines around that talk about spirituality and metaphysical things and esoterical things. Leave them in the open so that they can eventually hmm, start looking through some things and realize, hey, mom and dad, sister and brother got some dynamite information. I could somehow utilize this information right now, but I got to study it. I got to absorb it. And they will begin to absorb it. Now, it's not going to happen overnight, but it could happen within 45, 60 days, 90 days that it starts to click, turn on a light switch with themselves, and they begin to learn. This is important to their well being of where they're going right now so that they can learn that the spirit world is real world and they are a part of it as well. We want them to know these things just as much as we might want them to know about economical things, saving money, balancing bank books, and things of that nature. In any event, you might want them, yeah, eat healthier, right? Fast, learn how to do that, right? But you want them to do what? You want them to gain a closer awareness and click on the switch of remembrance. I'm going to put that right here. You want them to click on the switch of remembrance. You want your children to be more aware and to remember their own divinity. That's what you want. You want them to remember. The more they can remember, the more they'll have, the more they can acquire. They begin to like sit and develop a relationship. When you think about it, our ancestors from the different cultures, not all of them had books. They got that learning mouth to mouth, passed along. Someone told them and told them enough times from childhood, time they're born, to the time that they are an adult. The importance of their metaphysical and spiritual nature, their connection to the stars. Someone was teaching them that consistently until it triggered an awareness and a remembrance deep inside themselves. But then they started to have experiences, have an animated dream world that they were in. And they could connect the dream world with the physical world that they're in, able to make that connection and to make a strong connection and to make it work for themselves. That's the unique thing, having it work for themselves. That's how powerful of a living being that we are. We are very powerful. We are still here making things happen. We are still here serving humanity. Everybody likes to say, I want to be a light worker. Light worker means work for the light. But in order to work for the light, get in touch with the shadow self. The shadow self is a great teacher. That part of ourselves where there's darkness. We have to bring light to that. We have to understand that part of ourselves. It's like when you study astrology, you find out eventually that you have bits and pieces of all the other signs within yourself. Either they're all there at the time of your birth or they're there as you what? Progress in life. You start having these experiences. You start seeing development happen on different levels with yourself. As people are coming on here, let me know that you can still hear me. I'm seeing my mic work on my end at the bottom of the screen, and my microphone, I can hear it in my headset, is working. Let's get a conversation going a little bit. What are you experiencing with dreams? How is your dream world for you? Or how is your metaphysical spiritual world going for you? Are there things that you are discovering about yourself personally? Or let's say in general, are you discovering things about yourself that is allowing you to get stronger and more aware with who you are on the inside? Are there any things you might want to share that you might be doing or that you notice things around you? Like I said, I went on my little short vacation, October 26th through the 31st, and I began to really pay attention to the little ones, to the ones that were like just getting in their teenage years. They just seemed to be extremely bright. So I was watching the ones that were between the ages of 2, 3, 4, when they can walk and talk, and 10. I was looking at them. Those little girls, they got it going on. One of them doesn't appear that she's tuned into anything spiritually, but I could tell that she's thinking all the time. She's in search of things all the time. Amber Jajola says, I feel like I've been having more realizations in the metaphysical world, but the dream world seems to be emphasizing my fears. Yeah, because we all have fears. We have, and the way that we have fears, some of those fears come from family, right? We have family members that are going through things, and they're telling us, what they're going through. But, you know, they might tell us the things that they have problems with, right? They might say, hey, when I was your age, I couldn't do this, and that. But they forget they're putting their fears on your back, what they couldn't do. Like, okay, I'm not a swimmer. Maybe I should have learned how to swim. I'm in my 70s, still don't know how to swim. But I don't tell the little ones because I don't know how to swim or I'm not good at swimming. I don't tell them not to strive, not to learn how to swim. Now, these little ones happen to be in a house where their parents bought a house that has a built in swimming pool. So, hey, and their parents can swim. So now they can be in the water with experienced swimmers and build their confidence up to swim. It would be the same if I said to a younger person, well, I don't drive anymore, but you shouldn't drive either. No, why would I do that? I'm blocking them from their experience to be able to drive so they can transport themselves around. So, our dreams, yes, our dreams are like a laboratory at night, a think tank at night. We get to release our fears up into the dream world, or I should say around us in the dream world, and we get to act them out. We get to see what they are. And while we're seeing what they are, that's when we get to understand that part of ourselves. That's that's why we're dreaming. Why do we dream? The main thing is to understand who we are, understand we have roadblocks, how to overcome the roadblocks. That's why we're having dreams. That's one of the reasons. What are the things that are seem to be a burden in our own life? Is it with family members or just ourselves? Sometimes it's just with ourselves because we're thinking beings. We're thinking all the time. We're thinking about who loves us, who doesn't love us, who likes us, who doesn't like us. Does my boss like me? No. I don't think my boss like me. I don't think my boyfriend or girlfriend or male partner or female partner really likes who I am. We're constantly being bombarded by these don'ts, no's. I don't like, you don't like, I'm not feeling it. I don't hear what you're saying. We're in that with many other people who are experiencing that all at the same time. So often we have to sift, just like a person seeking gold nuggets in sediment in a riverbed. Shake it, see if we can find some gold nuggets about ourselves. Are we shaking ourselves up so we can see who we are? Now, people could hear me talk about this, and they might say, well, I never see him do anything. Well, you're not around me 24 hours a day. I'm in my own thinking mode. What am I worrying about the most? Or what do I need to not worry about? I need to relax my mind and let go of the fears that I've built up within myself. It's just like when you have something material, when you move, right? You physically move. It's time to move. You're packing everything up. Now, the things that you're packing up, a lot of those things you have connections to emotionally. Clothes, photo albums, books, musical instruments, other gifts that people gave you. You're holding on to all these things. You have an emotional attachment to these things. You might have things in storage and you don't have enough money to pay it. That happened to me numerous times when I lived on Long Island and I moved to New Jersey. I didn't have the money to pay for the storage anymore. So I paid up 2 months in advance and I knew after that I wasn't going to have any more money. But I was fortunate because the people that lived on Long Island that worked at that place, some of those people and they were friends of mine. And I would call them up and say, "What days are you working back there in the storage?" And they would tell me. And I would show up, pay the bill. I said, "I want to show you something. I have someone here, from Jersey with me. We're going to cart up this stuff. We're going to take stuff out of here. Now, I can't take these musical instruments and take those 6 or 7 boxes over there with books." I came out with 20 books, 30 books at the most, 40. But I had a collection of over 2,000 books on all kind of metaphysical, spiritual, occult topics, crystals, you name it. I came out with a box of tarot cards. What I did was I called all my students over and said, "Look, there's 50 tarot decks here." I said, "50? You gonna throw them away?" I says, "No. Take as much as you want. I'm just going to put them out here on the table. Some are duplicates, but I want you to look at them and take them. I can't take them with me." And they started picking through them and picking through them. Some people left with two because they thought that's all they were supposed to take. I had their addresses. I mailed some to them because I wanted them to have the decks. It's okay. I had already cleansed them anyway. I saged them up anyway. So now it was all fresh energy. I didn't have to worry about 50 tarot cards decks to take. I did the same with some crystals that I had and gemstones. I cleansed the vibration and gave them away. Plenty of books, over 2,000 books. And I left with 20, 30, 40 of them that I knew I needed, that I couldn't get right away. Gave the rest away. I took those guys in the storage and I pointed them out. Here are the other books. They're all metaphysical, spiritual books. Here's some DVD tapes. All of them, they're still working. Some of them I haven't even seen yet because they're brand new. And here's some VCR equipment. I did everything that I could do so that they went in there and broke the lock. Could go and sift through the things that they wanted to take with them. I was lightening my load. Sometimes we got emotional attachments. We have to realize that, okay, many of those things that we're about to let go of, you can get them in wherever you're going. So yeah, I left with 40 books. Now I have over 200 books from my living room to my bedroom. And these books, some I bought and some I got free at metaphysical churches. Yeah, I got them free. They didn't want them. I took them. I said, "Wow, I used to have this book. I left this book in storage back east." So I took the book. I had a musical instrument that was an auto harp. I had to leave it behind. Got here, a lady had gongs in her living room, pipes in her living room, and walked into her garage and came out and gave me an old auto harp that she had. Only thing I didn't like was the tuning pegs would lean almost at a 45-degree angle. So when you try to tighten them, they would bust on you right away. Spent a lot of money in bass strings, but I still have it. Whatever you had, you will get back. Keep your heart open, keep your mind open. The dreams that you have that seem to be thwarting your mind with fear, you will eventually have your breakthroughs. You will eventually break through and understand that some of the fears are ungrounded. They're not real. They're less things that you thought were going to happen, but never will happen. So what it lets us know in the dream world is that we are consciously praying out a world for ourselves. Our prayers are literally in action, and we are the ones that are creating it that way. Now, you might have a chorus line group to back you up too. They might believe in what you're saying, and they're doing it as well. But you are the source creator of your own life. But it took me many years to understand that. 20 years. I'm 70 now. So the last 20 years, I'm getting it. First 50 years, I didn't get it at all. I read about it, but I didn't understand it. But that's how long it takes to uproot old teachings, get rid of old paradigms, and step into a new reality that we are creating as we go. We don't have to live in a 3D world. We're living out a 4D world in the heart chakra. That's the fourth realm, fourth dimensional realm of consciousness. The heart has its own mechanism that is far greater than the brain. The heart lets off a magnetic, electromagnetic frequency that is far greater than your brain. You're not just radiating out of your brain this way, out of the back and above, but your heart is doing it from inside. Your heart has getting what? Electrical impulses on the inside. And it's being carried through your bloodstream into your muscles, into your nerves, into your blood vessels, through your bones, deep inside the bone marrow. It's beating. Roughly 72 seconds. Is that 72 seconds a minute? It's beating. People who play the drums, you watch them play the conga drums and the big drums, ceremonial drums. Eventually, those drums are beating off their own heartbeat. They can feel it, raise and lower. We are the ones that are creating, but we all learn eventually that we are creating. We all learn that we cannot let others create for us. We must create what we want, what we truly desire. A lot of the metaphysical teachers, men and women, always said, if you don't create, the collective brain around you will create for you. I mean, it'll create something that you don't want, but you have indirectly agreed to it because you didn't take charge of your own life to try to create what you desired for your own life. The beauty of who we are is that we are beautiful soul essence beings, infinite metaphysical beings, higher consciousness beings that impact the world around us, our neighborhoods, our streets, our towns, cities, counties, boroughs, states, regions. I was talking about the other night that some of us are becoming more of an anchor for others. You're holding space, but in order to hold space, you have to be clear in your own mind so that when you are holding space for someone, you're holding without judgment. You're just holding the ultimate end result that you see: freedom, compassion, grace, abundance, prosperity. You begin to hold that not only for them, but all like minded energies. You do it so much that when you fall off to sleep, that's all you are feeling. That's all you're riding. You're riding on that same energy that you're putting out there. You're riding on the same energy that you're holding in place. You are allowing yourself to have an experience. What is that? to imagine, to have the wildest dream that you could think of, but not just dream it, because you could dream a better life. You can always dream a better life, but you have to be prepared to act out that dream in the world that you find yourself in. You could talk to the elements, right? You could talk to the David kingdom of all the elements. You could talk to the animal kingdom, the insect kingdom. You could talk to that which you cannot see. You can talk to it. You can communicate with it. Why? Because all things are listening to you. All things, all living creatures are listening to you. All of them can hear you. They know you by your scent, by your electromagnetic wave that you give out in your auric field, by the way you're moving about them. They can sense and they can hear you. You can begin to have a full conversation with nature. Do you know that as you have this full conversation with nature, you're having a conversation with all that is and more? If you had plants in your house, you could have a conversation with the plants in your house on a regular basis, and your plants will tell you who's been around your house, who's been on your front door ringing the doorbell. You might have a cat or a dog, they might see who it is, and they may telegraph it to you. We have people who say, "Well, I wasn't by your house, but the dog said I saw so and so here. Cat said I saw so and so." All dogs and cats can see unseen spirit forces walking around your house. They can see granddad, grandma, aunt, uncle, friend, neighbor. They can see them walking around your house. They're always looking up. And if they were in the waking world and played with them, they will play with them from just beyond the veils as well. All these things are happening. Yeah, they have a beautiful energy that they give off. The gemstones that we work with, they're reflecting the energy that we are carrying. That's why I said one time, it took me a long time, but I learned from 1988 up to about 1999 that the reason why I have selenite, why I love to have selenite in my home physically or wear it upon myself, is because my body has selenium in it, and the body is craving for more selenium from what I might eat, but also the presence of it physically around the body. And once it has acquired enough, then the craving comes down. But hey, in my world, I'm still going to collect some selenite. Why? I love it that much. I hear all kind of things through it. I see all kind of images at the same time. Isaro Matsu, I think that's his name. I have it probably in my bedroom. The Japanese scientist, Moto is probably the last name, Isaru Moto. He wrote a book, The Hidden Messages in Water. And what he was talking about is how water has consciousness. The water that we drink has consciousness. The water around the earth has consciousness. The water in the body has consciousness, and he would demonstrate it by writing a word or a phrase and taping it to a bottle or glass. But he would start out with one word. He might say, if his mind is clear, he would say love. And then days later, with an eyedropper, put it on a plate, a droplet of water, and notice that the crystals of water were perfectly formed, meaning that the crystals of water was a perfect geometrical shape. So water has consciousness. It shows a certain geometrical pattern or shape for love or unconditional love, for grace, divine grace, for truth, for healing, for wellness. But if you wrote on that piece of paper, your intention as you wrote on that piece of paper said, I hate you or hatred, well, the water crystals would be fuzzy and would be asymmetrical, meaning they would be out of balance. Proof that water and everything's listening. One time in a museum over in England, they had children walking up to this plant, and the plant was in a glass, big constructed glass, a plant in a pot. And they would say to the plant to the left, say all the mean things you want to say. And over a period of time, the plant would wilt. The mean energy, negative bad energy, made that plant wilt. That plant responded and began to wilt or close down. But the plant on the other further away or right next to it said, send that plant love. Tell her how much you love the plant. And kids would be screaming, I love you, and I love this, and I want to take you home with me. I want to feed you. I want to water you. I want to do this. That plant would blossom, would continue to blossom. Those exercises of that magnitude is showing us something. And what it's actually showing is this. When we think negative thoughts, when we are angry, our blood shows anger. Our muscles, everything within us responds to that anger. However, if we show self love and appreciation, humility, compassion, understanding, if we show that, say that, and think that, the body responds to that. The body is lighter, radiating more energy, chi throughout the body. Why? Because it feels the love that you're sending into it, that you're pouring into the cells, the sympathetic nerve system. The body is responding to your true unconditional love, your true grace, sense of grace and beauty and harmony. The body feels empowered, strong internally. It's not weak anymore. That's what these things prove. This is why you can pray over your food. While the food is warm and open, you could pray over it. You could pray over it while you're preparing it. When you pray over food that's being prepared for consumption, that intention to create the healing body, the cleansing within the body is listening. All right. So, what do you say about numbers? Or what do I say about numbers? The importance of numbers representing a frequency in our lives. the numerical day that we're born on and the sun sign that we're born in, all of that is carrying a frequency that gives us the gear and the essence to do what we're here to do. But not just the day that you're born on. And I've never done this research and I should do it. But there's a time when you're conceived, time when your mom carries you. That has a lot too. For most children, babies, it's 9 months. So that means if you count back a full term of 9 months, you will find out the seed foundation of your personality. You'll discover that. And that doesn't say that you're going to have all the answers, but you are going to discover it. You're going to realize that that time frame that you chose to come in and develop, that's a part of who you are as well. And it may show that you do certain things during that time that you were conceived. It will show that. It will show up in your life somehow that there's certain things that you do and it's connected to when you were conceived. And I would say within those first 3 or 4 months that your mother carried you, lots of things going on, lots of things. It means lots of thoughts. You might have been hearing your parents' conversation about you. You might have been hearing the conversation they had amongst themselves. You're in the mother's womb. You could hear beyond her. You could feel beyond her how others are within that family. That's of interest to take a look at. I think I was conceived in July. My mother had me a full term, 9 months. So let's say if I was conceived in March, if I was born in March 1952, I was conceived in 1951. That was a universal 7 year. So let's see, July, August, September, October, November, December, January, February, March. There you go, 9 months. So I was conceived somewhere in July under the sign of Cancer. Isn't that interesting? If you know that your mother carried you for the full term of 9 months, then you can count back from the time that you chose to come out the canal. You can count back 9 months and find out the time that during that conception period, that's a part of you too. Cancer is home life. Cancer is the women of the family. I have high respect for the women of my family. My mother, my grandmother, my aunts, my grandmothers, both sides of the family, or at least most of them. Interesting, huh? That plays a part of who you are, building up to who you are. That is important as well. So we start gathering all these things. It's essential that we gather. The more we can gather, we are gatherers. The more that we gather information about ourselves prior to us coming here, all of that plays a significant part of who we are and what we're striving to be, where we're striving to be in our life. Now that I'm in my 70s, this is the time when I get to go more within myself and start to experience some of those things that I didn't get a chance to experience before that had to do with the metaphysical and the spiritual and the occult, all in a positive way. This is the time when I want to communicate with my ancestors even more so to help me steer my path and make it clear to what else I might need to do so that I can thrive even more so. Some people pass early. My parents passed both. My dad was 3 years older than my mother. My dad was born in 2015. My mother was born in, excuse me, my dad was born in 1915 and my mother was born in 1918. My dad was 3 years older, but they both died at age 63. They both transitioned. My mother transitioned just before that time, just before, so she didn't quite make it to 63. She was still 62 and some months into it. But my brother and my brother's 75. He turned 75 November the 2nd. I turned 70 March 16th of this year. So to some degree, we are successful. We lived past their time. We're doing something right. But we're living in a world where we have more things available to us so that we can extend our life. Some people live very rough lives, and their parents wind up burying them. But they're choosing certain things along the way, how they're seeing things, how they're doing things. They're choosing that. And while they are choosing those ways, they're cutting their lives short by their decisions. Our life is supposed to be about expanding. We're not always supposed to be around the same people all the time. We're supposed to expand our life because the more you can expand your life, the more you can have more room for new people to enter your life. That's important. We all have to do it. We all have to keep expanding. We're not meant to have nothing and no one or the same people. You're supposed to expand. And what is interesting is other people find you anyway. Have you ever noticed that? Other people find you. Remember one time I went up to Santa Fe, my sister friend, Renelle. We went up to Santa Fe one time, and we went to hear this guy. Tom Bird was his name. Yep, real last name is Bird. He was originally from Massachusetts, but he lived in Santa Fe, and he was a writer, professional writer, and writer and author, and he was teaching people how to contact their inner being, the divine writer in themselves, which is really your higher self energy to come forward and write. Hey, Oracle T. So we get in there, right? And after this class was over, after we finished writing, and he was telling us, it's almost like when a person does automatic writing. I think he was born on the sign of Scorpio. He said, get a sheet of paper out. I don't want you to think about what you're going to write. I just want you to write. He said, just by writing, you develop breakthroughs. So you might start a sentence and it might be something that doesn't make sense. But he says, well, when you first do that on one page, and he gave us like a minute to write. He said, okay, count the number of words across the page. Put that at the top. Count the number of lines going down. Slash, put that at the top. And what he was telling us is that some of us were writing 1,000 words a minute, didn't even realize it. 700 words a minute. We had no idea. He said, so now you can compute this into maybe spending 4 hours a day writing, and you realize really writing. You're writing 2,500 words in a span of 4 hours or 2 hours or 3 hours. But it was opening up the mind, opening up the faculties from within that allowed you to be able to do that. And that was really uh, an enlightening experience. But here's something he said at the end that I forgot about. When I introduced myself to him at the end of the class when it was all over, I said, Mr. Bird. He said, I don't call me Mr. Bird, call me Tom. I said, okay, Tom, I'm Brother Francis. He said, who? I said, I'm Brother Francis E. Revels-Bey. I'm not originally from Santa Fe or Albuquerque, but I've been here for a short period of time. At that point, I'd only been in Albuquerque, Brown. I think we met him around 2012. So it was about September, maybe the summer of 2012, 2013. Only been here a year or two. And I start to tell him, right? He stops me in my tracks. He says, repeat your name to me again. I said, Brother Francis E. Revels-Bey, Revels dash capital Bey. He forges around in his leather bag, in his wallet, and he flips out an old business card of mine. He said, I picked this card up about a year or two ago, maybe 3, 4 years ago. I said, really? And then I remembered. He said, I was at a place here in Santa Fe called The Ark. It's a store. It's like a regular house. They sell everything in there, from women's clothes, summer dresses, to sandals and hats, and for men, and gloves and scarves. And then they have a metaphysical book area. I went to the table. I saw this name, Brother Francis E. Revels-Bey. It seemed to be an interesting name. So I took the card. And on the back of the card, you had a word, a seed word on the back of the card, or a phrase. And he showed it to me. I said, yeah, that's my logo, an old logo I used. That was it. He said, you're well known. You should write books. You don't even have to take my class on how to write a book. Just start writing books. Amazing how hard was a seed that I had planted in this house door. And he walked through there, found the card, and kept the card, not because of my name, but of the seed, word, or phrase I had planted on the back of the card. On the back of one card, it says, may you prosper abundantly. Another one just said creativity. So sometimes I'd write a short phrase or just a word. And the card that he picked up said, prosper abundantly. Amazing. So that's just goes to say that we leave an imprint on the face of the earth. We are leaving an energetic imprint, and the right people become attracted to your imprint or imprints. And if it's meant to be, they will absorb the energy and begin to desire to connect with you at whatever level, whatever time, for however long they are supposed to. And that's what happened between this professional writer and author, Tom Bird. Oh. So when I pass out cards, and this could assist you too, if there's an event that you're going to, you got your business cards on you, keep them on you, and put out an intention into the universe, a real trusted intention that you will be guided to share or pass out your business card to a select few people. Your higher self and your guides are going to guide you to a place, to an event. And it doesn't have to be with hundreds and thousands of people are. It could be like a little jazz club or a place where they do poetry. And you're just in there listening. And you're striking up a conversation. And a person wants to give you a card. And you say, "Oh, I have a card. Can I give you my card?" And then you give them your card. When I was at my niece's, older niece's daughter, actually all my nieces, at this event on the 29th of October, a baby shower. The night before, while I was staying at my older niece's home with her husband, the night before, Friday night, which is the 27th of October, I went to sleep. I woke up in the middle of the night. I kept hearing this name, Jocelyn, just like that. And so maybe I'm hearing it off the TV set because I had the TV set on in the guest room. Clock. Went back to sleep. Spirit of my mother came to me. My grandmother said, "You're going to meet Jocelyn. You're going to meet Jocelyn today, meeting after sunrise." When I got up, I told my niece and her husband, "I keep hearing this name, Jocelyn." And they just kind of looked at me. They didn't say anything. They didn't give anything away. So my older niece had to go to the younger niece. That's the one who they were giving a baby shower for. They had to go finish setting up some things like balloons and make sure we had all the tablecloths and making sure we had all the chair covers, because that's what my oldest niece used to do on Long Island. She used to do like that, those kind of events, an event coordinator. She knew that. Her sister handled the game portion of the event. So they went. Her husband and I went to wherever he wanted to go. He wanted to take me to the nature places where he likes to sit down and meditate and, take pictures of nature and the birds. And then we got over there. We showed up at about, like you said, 12:31 p.m. The minute we hit the house, she told her daughter Adela, the one who's expecting. She said, "Adela, come here for a second. Uncle Frank, tell her what you told me this morning. I told your mom and dad when we went to bed around 1 o'clock in the morning, I kept hearing Jocelyn. You're going to meet Jocelyn this weekend." I got up in the morning, Spirit, my mother and grandmother were there. "You're going to meet Jocelyn today." My niece's daughter, who's expecting, cracked a smile. She goes into the dining room. She grabs her friend and brings her out. Said, "Uncle Frank, this is Jocelyn. I knew Jocelyn in high school on Long Island. She was the one I gave my first business card to." Later on in that day, I meet this other woman who my niece Carmen had told me about, or told her about me. So I gave her my card. And then this lady's name was Mercedes. She said, "Oh, my daughter has the same card." So now I meet the mother and the daughter. And then the next day, when we're having a family day at a dealer's home, her husband told me, "Hey, I want to get a reading later from you. Do you got a card for me?" And I gave him my card. So there was Spirit telling me. But how did Spirit tell me about that? When I was on the Amtrak going from Albuquerque to Flagstaff, it said, "You're going to give out 3 business cards." And I kept saying, "Well, to who?" They didn't give me the names. It said, but I was going to give out 3 business cards. So when the time is right, they will connect with me. That's just a way of saying how these things that we have, books, business cards, banners, posters, flyers, they're just really energetic extensions of ourselves. We should grow accustomed to sharing who we are with others. We will find the right people
to share your concepts and your ideas with. You will be able to share your excitement about life with. You will do it. Again, some people may not understand why you are doing it, but it's not left for them to understand. It's only left for the people that you're giving it to, that you're being directed to be in touch with. All you can do is plant the seed. That's all you can do. After that point, you got to let it marinate with the person. You may give a person your business card within 72 hours of hearing this message and don't connect with that person till 60 days later, a year later. Person said, "Oh, I was just thinking about you. I need to contact you." And then they start to do it. We are always making a connection somewhere in our lives. This is why, yes, the think tank when we go to sleep is the dream world. The think tank when we go to sleep is the dream world. When we are wide awake, your think tank, your emotional tank, your imaginative mind tank is when you are meditating. I mentioned earlier the power of affirmations. Affirmation means the act of making something firm in your life. You're making your words firm in your life, but you're speaking a truth, a specific truth, or even a general truth. You're speaking it into your life by affirming it. So you might make an affirmation like, I am well, but you could be physically sick. But rather than say, you'll say, well, I'm feeling sick, but now I feel well. In the beginning, there's a battle because your emotions and your thoughts, they're battling with each other. You're not even sure if you're going to be well, but you begin to have this battle from within, internally. And eventually you fall off to sleep with, I am well. I am well. Yes, I am well. Now you might have your nose running, you might be coughing still, but you're what? Planting that seed so it falls into the subconscious mind. I am well. I know I am well. I am feeling better every day. At night I sleep better. I am well. You keep repeating, that's the affirmation. But you can say, I affirm, which means you're making this conscious statement. You're affirming very strongly that this, what you're about to say, is true. And not only are you saying it's true, in the deepest part of your core, you're embracing it as the truth. So when you can embrace with the words that you say as the truth, they begin to what? Sprout. They begin to germinate inside you. And like I said earlier, some scientists have said already that the heart is a huge generator. It's bigger than your brain. It gives off an electromagnetic frequency 24/7. Because we are people who are thinking all the time and planning all the time. Even when we fall off to sleep, the mind is working overtime. The mind is working overtime. The faculties of the mind is working overtime. Why? Because we just got to know. We want to know what is really going on with ourselves. So we're putting these thoughts out to ourselves all the time. That's what we're doing. And the more we do, the better we shall be. We can affirm that. So you learn to create an affirmation and say it over and over and over and over and over, hundreds of times a day, saying it. In the morning, saying it. In the mid morning, noonday, mid afternoon, before you have a bite to eat for dinner, spend time with your family, then you go off to sleep. You're saying it over and over in your mind all the time. You're saying it over and over. Why? Because eventually what you say manifests, materializes inside your body, and you begin to wear the energy and becomes a part of you. That's why you can go into metaphysical churches like unity churches, science of mind churches that are now called centers of spiritual living. And you can go in there and create an affirmative prayer. And what's an affirmative prayer? Well, prayer is your acknowledgement. Prayer is your acknowledgement that you're connected to infinite divine creator source energy. You're not asking for something, you're acknowledging that there is this bigger thing, energetically bigger than you, but you are still connected to it. And you're agreeing this connection is strong and gets stronger each and every day. So you give all in that prayer into the universe, and the universe hears the crystal clear emotional part of you and your words. So let's say you say, I am happy. I affirm that I'm happy. The creator has caused me to be happy, but deep down inside you're not. When you get to the core and you're not happy, then what? That erases what you just said. What you actually get is what you think you're supposed to get, which is more hardship and more bad times. So you learn to change your outlook, you change the outcome in your mind, you change your words so that they reflect positive outcome, that the universe works it out for you. I think I'm referring back to Dr. Michael Beckwith. He said the universe is conspiring with you. The universe is conspiring behind your back to take that theoretical thought, but take that affirmation and that prayer and weld them together and materialize your heart's desires. And it puts you in position to have more experiences along that way. So you can affirm your life into existence and you can pray it into a prayer so that it creates it, the opportunity, the experience, the opening. It places all that energy in your hands. You can feel it go up your body. Feel it, your feet touch the ground. You can feel it energize your feet, come right up your legs. You begin to what? Embody. When you embody what you are saying, you become whole. You become closer to the divine nature within yourself. We all have a divine nature. And all that matters is your divine nature. So that means if you're dealing with other people, that energy that they have is their energy. You have your energy. Now, yeah, two heads come together and make one big head, but you still have to have your energy. You have to be comfortable with your energy. You have to feel the fullness of your own energy. You have to let your energy, your words, the energy in your words, do what? Liberate you. In essence, we got to let go of what we think it's supposed to be and allow the universe to make it so for us, to make it the way it's supposed to be, or should be, or better yet, shall be. Then you learn that your affirmations and your prayers and your affirmative prayers and your meditations, using your meditation to marinate that, to stir those things together, then you learn a decree. A decree is you're making a truth statement without any reservation, meaning you're not holding it back on it. You know it's true. You know it's definitely true. You don't have to think about it anymore. You don't have to wish for it to become. You already know that it is. You can say, I decree that such and such and such and such is happening right now in my life. And I'm being blessed by it right now. And I'm assisting others with the same energy so that they're blessed as well. You work toward that, you see. Your words. Your words make things more concrete. You know, in the old frontier days and other parts of the world, they used to say, your word is your bond. They didn't have a contract. Your word was the contract, and you were bound to it because you agreed through words to do such and such and such and such. So you can affirm something into your life. You can affirm something that you're already doing that's truthful for you to do. And then you can decree that it shall be continued in the way that the universe is backing you for it to happen. And that, as I said earlier in tonight's program, that you are open to it. You're getting yourself out the way to receive. You're like a child, you expect it to happen. When you expect it to happen, there's no failure. Now, some things may take longer to materialize in your life, but they are happening on very minute levels and layers in and through your life. You just don't yet see it with your physical eye. That's the beauty, that's the power of who we are. We just have to allow ourselves to be. We get to a point with our words, there are no more magical words to say. It's just be. Be that which you desire to become. Be it now. Accept it that you can be whatever it is on whatever level now. You could trust it now. You have the protective awareness and remembrance that you can protect it now, even if no one else agrees with you, because it doesn't matter. What matters is what you are doing, and what matters is what you are saying. So, I've been on 2 hours and 14 minutes, but I came on late because there was something wrong with the internet in our area out here. I live out here in the expansive city called Albuquerque, New Mexico. Well, anyway, I wanted to talk about some other things. This is kind of long winded, but I will be on Friday night at 10 p.m. Eastern, which is 8 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, 9 p.m. Central Standard Time, and 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. I will be on again Friday, and then I will go on again Saturday and Sunday. But when I do Saturday and Sunday evening, I will go on at about 9:30 p.m. So I'm putting a shout out to you now. If you want to get on my email list, many of you would come through Lloyd's show. I have that folder, but I don't know where all those emails are in there. You can always send me an email, and I'll put up my email. Send me your email to iam.circle of grace1 at gmail.com. As I say that I'm teaching this course. The course that I'm teaching shall be taught live online through my Zoom account February the 1st, 2023. So you're going to want to email me about that. Get the inquiry. I'm going to mail you the ways in which you can pay. And I'm going to mail you the outline of the course. It's almost like a college level course in terms of its time frame. It's 4 months to complete this course. There are going to be 11 paid classes and 7 free classes. That's a total of 18 classes being taught. It's based on my book, The Key to Life is Numerology. I'm going to be teaching from my book per se. The Key to Life is Numerology. Part 1, we're going to work on the different aspects and important parts of the name, how to look at someone's name. And of course, you're going to look at your own name. We're going to do that. In the second part of the course, we're going to look at the birth month, birthday, and birth year numbers, the cycles of destiny numbers. That's the 3 divisions of your destiny number. We're going to look at the destiny number. We're going to look at, of course, your birth date number. We're from 1 to 31. We're going to look at the 12 rose petals. That's the 12 signs. And sometimes how you interpret through the birthday number through those signs, meaning like your natal chart. Going to show you how to do that. I'm going to show you how to look at what I use called the angle of destiny. That's when you're juggling between which is more important, the destiny number or my numerical birthday number. I'm going to show you what to do in order to get the angle of destiny. Then how you can make it operate in your life better for yourself, so you can have more success on whatever level that is for yourself. That's going to be important. We're going to talk about numbers and addresses. I did it a little bit last night. Numbers and addresses. That means where you live, your house number, apartment building number, apartment number. It'll show you what kind of personalities are there. Your job, the address of your job, what kind of personalities are there that you may be interacting with, and also fun places that you go to. What kind of people are there? I'm going to incorporate that in the course as well. So there's a lot. Email me at iam.circleofgrace1. Why? Because there's 2 registration periods from January the 2nd to January the 18th, 2023. If you want to sign up in there and pay in there, you get an early bird fee. And the early bird price allows you to have a discount of $103 discount for the course, 18 classes. But if you miss that window, the second window is January the 19th through February the 19th. Even though the class starts February the 1st, you can make installment payments, but must be completed by February the 19th. So you need to email me so you can get all the information and the course. And I tell you what else that you get for that course. At the end of the course, I'm going to be sending everybody that participated in the course additional information revolving around numerology and the course. You're going to get some free video footage, maybe about 10, 15 minutes worth. You're going to get audio footage about the same time, but it's all helpful to you. And I'm going to have some material in PDF format for you, as well as in maybe ebook format for you, all for free. So I would like to see you take that class with me online, starting Wednesday night, February the 1st, 2023 at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And the last class will be Wednesday, because all the classes will be taught on a Wednesday night. So the last class will be Wednesday, May 31st, 2023. 18 classes, 7 of them absolutely free because they're review classes, and 11 of them are paid classes. Email me so I can give you the particulars on how to pay that fee for the course. iam.circlegrace1@gmail.com. So, who here has a question about numerology before I sign off? Who here has a question about numerology? Maybe there's someone in your house you just want to get a glimpse at. You want to get a glimpse at the birth month and birth day that they're born on. You want to find out what the destiny number, what all the numbers add up to. If you have a question, give me a question. Give me a question now. You can always come back and replay this. You can always, if when you do, you just type into the comment section hashtag replay. Right now, I'm going to thank everybody that came on here. Amber Jajola, Arit Mayat is in here. Aura Cal T. There were some other people that came. It was a woman, Rose Jefferson. She came and went. She's in here too, I think. But it's all about sharing the knowledge, sharing the wisdom. I've been doing numerology for 48 years, just like the Circle Grace One, devoted to my late mother, whose name was Grace, who was my first metaphysical and spiritual teacher. She officially started teaching me right out of the gate of graduating from college, but she was showing me stuff before then. But the Circle Grace One is in her honor, and it was established in July of 1974. That's 48 years. And then 14 years later, kind of nailed it in the ground on July 2nd, 1999. Hey, if you got any questions, now you may not want to ask the questions here, and that's granted. So email me your questions, email me your inquiry about you wanting to take this course starting February 1st, 2023. Ask about that. Also, give me your questions about dreams, about numerology, about some of the stuff I spoke about tonight, about the power of affirmations. I would love to hear what you have to say so I can share it with you. I want to be able to do that. All right, I'm going to sign off now. I'm going to give my throat a rest. I'm going to look up some movies to watch. I like to watch a lot of UFO galactic, secret stuff they talk about all the time. That's my cup of tea. So I'm going to tune into some of that, or maybe watch something that's funny and have a hot cup of tea or coffee and call it an evening. I will be on Thursday. I will be on this Friday night. Getting excited. I will be on this Friday night at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is 9 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Mountain, as well as 7 p.m. Pacific. So this Friday, after the Thanksgiving tomorrow, this Friday, I'll be on again at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is 9 Central, 8 Mountain, 7 Pacific Standard Time. I will come back on Saturday evening, and I'll be on Saturday evening at either 9 or 9:30 p.m. I will be on this Saturday either at 9 or 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and I will do the same thing Sunday night. So what I'm trying to do is come on a lot so I can tell you about this course, so I can answer your questions, so I can give you some more information. Maybe when I get on, we'll then go in and do some meditation together live, a guided meditation live, so that you can get information. And Amber, we don't have a class Saturday because the center is closed. So just in case you forget, Amber's from out here. Amber's a cool lady. All right, everybody, I'm going to say good night to you. My grace is your grace. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for being patient with me with all these technical problems on the internet. I really, truly enjoy your friendship in this field called the metaphysical world and the spiritual world, and how we can impart this knowledge on a further level into the world and just keep going and just keep doing it. Until next time, remember that divine grace is a blessing as we are alive and well in the age of remembrance. See you Friday night.